And welcome to the Cardinals Nest. Happy holidays here on HBC Channel 25. I'm Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. This is the show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University. Primarily we talk athletics here on the program. Today our featured guest is Patrick Grace. Patrick is the general manager at Page Theater, the Performing Arts Center on campus. Now Patrick, I know you're no stranger to HBC, but this is your first time on the Cardinals Nest, so
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, and great to have Patrick on today. Want to learn more about the Page Theater, but before we get to that, Patrick, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got started managing performing arts centers and how you landed here at St. Mary's.
Sure. Well, you know, I'm going to be starting my 5th year January 1st, so
Okay.
I've been here a few years.
Yeah.
And before that, I was up at a small place called Elk River. And I got a master's degree from St. Mary's in arts administration, and I think that gave me a foot in the door to get this position when it became available. And so I have a background in arts administration. I also ran the Pump House Regional Arts Center down on La Crosse for a time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I came from. But I've been here 5 years, and I'm very excited to be part of the Winona community.
All right, that's great. Now, as far as your role as general manager is concerned, what would be some of your primary responsibilities?
Facility usage, scheduling the events for the university academic calendar, as well as our professional series, our page series, and our off-the-page series, and all the outreach we do in the community. We do gatherings at the library. We have page and history events at the History Center. We do something at the Senior Center. And this year we're doing off the page at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum, which I'd be happy to talk about.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that too, but one of the things you brought up there was facilities management.
Yeah.
And we talk about Page Theater, but it's not just the main Page Theater, is it? Tell us about all of your different facilities.
Well, there's also the Filio Recital Hall where the chamber orchestra, and then we use it as a classroom. I always get to hear the chamber singers practicing and the jazz ensemble practicing before their main concerts. And then we have a black box theater that's used primarily for classroom, but they also use it for some directing scenes and some performances as well. We also schedule some events down at the Valencia Arts Center through the theater department. So
sure. And it keeps you busy, doesn't it?
And I was just going to say, yes, it does. And at the Chapel of St. Mary's the Angel, we just had a wonderful lessons and carol on Saturday. A pretty big house, and it's always a wonderful place to hear that concert. And it's different every year, so it's really, really unique here in Winona.
Well, you talked about that Lessons and Carols. That's one of many holiday shows that the Page Theater sort of sponsors and puts on. And so talk about some of the upcoming performances, because there still are a few performances left that's kind of going through Page.
It is. We just finished a very busy time with the Nutcracker, the Jazz Ensemble, the Lessons and Carols, concert band. But December 20th and 21st, we have Vanessa Trouble down at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum.
There you go. That's right.
And the Thursday night show is sold out, so we opened a second show. Vanessa was very willing and wanting to do another show, so Friday night we're going to have a second show, and at this time there's still some tickets available, and we can tell you all the details how to find that later. But she's a local, this being the centennial year of St. Mary's. Part of our series this year, we worked to bring in people that had connections with St. Mary's or Winona, including Simone Perrin and Vanessa. And then in the spring, we're going to have John Paulson work with the Hornheads on Valentine's Day, as well as Accidental Hero. I'd like to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
It's a great performance coming up in January. So the centennial year, we brought a lot of focus to things dealing with St. Mary's and Winona. And Vanessa grew up here in Winona and got her first start. She did go to St. Mary's, but she didn't graduate from us. Shame on her, but she's coming back, and she's got a lot of family and a lot of friends, and I know that the event at the Marine Art Museum will be a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to hearing her do a jazz twist on holiday tunes, or you could say a holiday twist on jazz tunes. So it's and she's going to be using some of the local musicians in town, and it'll be a nice, relaxed atmosphere. Jefferson's is going to provide some food and beverages, and it's going to be a great time. So.
I would imagine that it's relatively rare that you have to open up a second performance.
Or that we're able to.
Right,
a lot
you're
of
able
times
to, yeah.
Artists are booked solid, but this being the holiday season, and she was coming home for the holidays, we're happy that we're able to do this. So it's going to be, it's great that she was willing to do that, and the Marine Art Museum was willing to do that, and all of the various players are able to make it happen. So.
Is that the last performance through the holiday season then, or do you have more coming up for you?
For us it is, yes. Then I'll be happy to talk as long as you guys are going to have to kick me off.
That's great.
Well, I kind of figured there was going to be more because
yeah,
I know you don't get any rest. I know you're, we were just talking off camera, Pat, about Dean getting, 4 weeks off now to recharge over the Christmas holidays. The page does not get 4 weeks off to recharge.
I wish I did. I really. Well, we're busy working on the 13-14 season. I'm right now negotiating those contracts and who's going to come and the dates that we can make them work. That's kind of what I'm doing when I'm not. We're not hosting people. But January 31st, an alum, Patrick Duane, has a great story. It's a great, wonderful kind of feel-good, if you can call feel-good war story, but it is because it's his grandfather. Unbeknownst to him, when his grandfather died, he was given a box of photos and journals, and he comes to discover that his grandfather was a war hero, that he had helped liberate the town where his parents and grandparents were from in Czechoslovakia. And he's got film footage, still photos. He gives this whole story, and it's a great story. And we're actually doing a 2 o'clock matinee for people that don't like to travel in the evening, and 6:30 as well. And so it's a great show. It's priced for families, meaning we've kept it low for people to be able to afford this. And in conjunction with that, the night before at the History Center, we're helping sponsor a Page in History event where it's a military genealogy. If you have family that's served in the service and you wonder what their story was or where they came from. I myself have a family that served in the Civil War and ended up in Milwaukee. And so I'm looking forward to seeing if there's ways we can find out more about that. And so there's going to be an expert there showing us the process of researching military history. So
and that event is free, open to the public, right?
Yep. History Center sponsors that. We have some great local foundations that help us with that as well. So
now I want to talk some more about some of the other events at the page, but before we move on, the tickets for Vanessa Treble and the Accidental Hero, who do they call? Where do they go to?
pagetheater.org or the box office 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, 507-457-1715. There's always someone knowledgeable at the other end of that line.
And what I have always appreciated when I go in there to get tickets for anything, very helpful, and they always say, where would you like to sit? And they'll tell you what the available seats are. They'll show you the chart.
Yep.
Usually I say, you decide. You pick the best seat for me, and I've never been disappointed yet.
Oh,
so.
good. Well, and there's not a bad seat in the Page
No,
Theater
there really
either.
isn't.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Yeah.
And I have a 13-year-old son who loves history. I have a feeling we'll definitely be going to the Accidental Hero.
Yeah.
And now it's an alum who's doing it, you said.
Yes.
How were you able to develop those connections, and how? And that kind of leads into the next question that I had is, how do you go about scheduling these events? Because you alluded to it a little bit. You also have to work in school functions from the theater and arts department, and so you can't overlap dates there. It has to be it has to take quite an organizer to be able to get everything scheduled and get the season filled out. Tell us about the process of doing that.
Sure. Well, as you know, the academic calendar comes first, and we're always happy to work with our partners, the theater dance department as well as the music department. Those are our two main resident groups. And then from that point, then of course there are some very important university functions like Founders Day and some other events that we plunk in. And then from that, I'm able to extract when we're not on break in March and April. As we all know, it's sometimes difficult to maneuver around that. And then from there, I go to at least one main conference, sometimes two. Usually there's a Midwest conference. That's where I do most of my work. Meet up to 200 agents that represent over 5,000 artists, and try to figure out what we haven't had recently, what people are asking for. We do surveys. We have the last 2 years where we put them in the programs and ask people, here are some options, which ones are you interested in? And then from that I can draw from understanding what people know about and are interested in, and then I try to go and see if we can negotiate fees and dates that work for us. One of the things that all of our artists that we do, that I bring in, have some sort of outreach component. They're either doing a master class, a pre-show talk, a school matinee. Simone did a workshop down at the Senior Center. Eileen Ivers in March. This is wonderful. She is like the premier Irish fiddler, American Irish fiddler. She was in Riverdance. She's going to do a free lecture about Irish instruments at the History Center the afternoon before she plays with us. I expect that to be a packed audience.
Yeah. Well, and what I appreciate is you really work in those educational components to as many of the shows as possible. I mean, it certainly ties in well with the university.
Yes. Oh, and the community. The community really appreciates, when we bring a dance company and they do master classes for students in the community, and that really adds another layer, another component to what we do as part of the Performance Center here in Winona.
A lot of local flavor this year with Vanessa Treble, Simone Perrin.
Right.
I mean, are those some intentional tie-ins?
Yes. Because of the centennial year, I felt it was important that we represent those kind of connections this year.
Earlier in the year, you had a big hit up there, and that was the Tibetan monks.
Yes,
Tell us how you went about
monks.
getting them and a little bit more about that.
Again, they're represented by, they come to the conferences. It's part of their mission to go out and spread their message of peace and diversity into what they do. And that was a very successful event for us. We had lots of people from the community come and see them do their
amazing.
It was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, that San Mandela, and then to just wipe it away. It was just, it was, but that's part of what we do. And they were more than happy to do other events. They were down at the History Center. They did a lecture for our art score students. So it's, we were very happy with that as part of it. Now, they'd been in town before, and that was one of the reasons I thought if we brought them back onto our campus, it would be great.
And then you always have shows that are aimed at youth in the community, and you had Bunnicula earlier in the year, and now coming up, you've got the Gruffalo tale.
Right, yeah.
About the woodland creature, right?
Yes. it's Mouse tells a really good story, and Mouse can tell stories that scare her friends. And until one day, she meets one of her stories, and her story is the Gruffalo. And it's a great, this company, we haven't had them here before. They're from London, so they're coming all the way from London to do this for us. Well, they'll be traveling around, but I feel like they're coming just for us because. But it's a great musical and great for families. We're always looking to bring in quality work, and we usually succeed with that. So we're very excited about that as well.
So not to put you on the spot or anything, but you said you've been here for 5 years. What's your favorite group that you've brought in? What was the favorite performance that you've had in those 5 years?
For all the other, I apologize, but the Good Lovelies last winter, December 1st, we had the Good Lovelies. They're a three-piece female group from Canada. They're so wonderful. Their music is so sweet. I continually listen to it. They have a holiday CD out. I've been listening to it this week, actually. It's they're my favorite. But I love Simone, and we had Donny, a wonderful Irish group, and they've all been wonderful. But I have to
you
have
have to have a favorite.
they're my favorite, and I'd love to bring them back to have them do a regular show.
And Patrick, Donnie's always looking for a place to take his wife on Valentine's Day, right? And Dee Dee deserves something special.
That's right.
Another local flavor, faculty member at St. Mary's, John Paulson,
Right.
and the Hornheads will be there on the 14th, right?
Yeah. February 14th. The Hornheads are the group that was behind Prince when he traveled doing all that funk. I mean, Kenny Holman is on sax, and he just blows a mean sax. And it'll be a lot of fun to have them. But before that, John Paulson, as we know, has been with St. Mary's many years and stepped down from the chair of the jazz program, so he could work on his big band project. He's going to have his big band premiere his new work, and that'll open the night. So we got one saxophonist, and we have this other saxophonist. Now, I don't know, if they're going to mix it up or not, but it's going to be a fun night if you love jazz. And you can't help but love this kind of jazz. It's a lot of fun. So.
All right. So again, just to kind of wrap things up here, the two big events coming up next at the Page Theater. We've got Vanessa Trouble coming up.
That's at the Marine Art.
That's at the Marina. The open show is, because the one already is sold out, right?
Right.
And then the open show is at the Minnesota Marine Art Museum. And then after that, in January, it's the Accidental Hero. That's January 31st.
Yep.
And again, tickets, where do they go to?
The website is pagetheater.org, or call the box office 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, 507-457-1715.
All right. Patrick Grace, General Manager for Page Theater. Thanks for being on the Cardinals
Thank you,
Nest.
guys.
And good
Appreciate
luck here
it.
the rest of this busy season for
Thank
you.
you.
All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be right back here on HBC to talk about the previous week in St. Mary's athletics and preview not only the upcoming weekend, but the new year as well in St. Mary's sports. That's next here on HBC.
We're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, TV, perfect. Laura, she is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. I mean, anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously, have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business. So you know how some cable companies have these bundle deals where if you purchase their TV, telephone, and internet together, you save? At HBC, we're taking it one step further. Get your TV and phone service through HBC, and we'll give you internet absolutely free. That's right, free. And you still save money. Some packages can save you up to $660 a year, and it's all backed by our 30-day guarantee. The best part? Free internet is available to all customers, new and existing. Go to hbci.com to see which free internet is right for you, or call 888-474-9995.
A state-of-the-art fiber optic network. Sure, you've all heard that. But what does it mean? Well, if you're an HBC customer,
It's television in crystal clear high definition and whole home DVR. Blazing fast internet speeds, perfect for gaming or movies. Phone service with your choice of features, including unlimited long distance. And now, HBC has expanded service throughout much of southeast Minnesota. Call today and see what it's like to be on a state-of-the-art fiber optic network with a local company receiving national recognition for their service.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest to talk about the previous week in St. Mary's sports. One of the things that we talk about on here is the Cardinals Nest Bounce, and that is athletes who appear on the show as a guest typically go out and perform well later that week and into the next week. I'll tell you what, Jess Stone has been riding that wave for a couple of weeks now, Donnie, because she goes out, hits the game winner against St. Benedict. Cardinals win by 2.
Yeah, big win for them. They were coming off of their first loss of the season when they lost to St. Thomas on last Wednesday, and they bounced back with a very, very good win against a talented St. Benedict team. St. Mary's has always had trouble playing up at St. Ben's. It's, St. Ben's has been top of the conference for so many years, and the last couple of years now, St. Mary's has really had the upper hand against the Blazers, and a seesaw affair that went right down to the wire. And in a big game like that against a quality team, you go with the player that brought you there, so to speak, and Jess took the inbounds pass, went coast to coast, and drained a jumper with 9 seconds to go to give them the win. So they head into their last non-conference game. They're sitting, with just one loss in the conference and really one loss overall. It's been a great start to the season for them. And I talked to Coach Mandy Pearson about that a couple days ago, and she's like, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that we'd be 6-1 at this time, she said, I'd probably say I'd want to be 7-0. So, she's feeling good. The players are playing with a lot of confidence, and they'll head into the Christmas break here with a lot of momentum. I'm sure she'd probably rather they just keep playing because they're playing some very, very good basketball right now.
Well, a big win because they were coming off of a loss to St. Thomas. Hard to say any loss to St. Thomas is disappointing, but I think that one was, given the fact that the Cardinals were winning at halftime, were hoping and maybe expecting for an upset there, didn't get it, played poorly in the second half, come back and play very well against St. Ben's. That's got to be a nice swing as they head into La Crosse on Wednesday.
And I think I think you're right on there in that you know, you can see a lot about a team in how they can bounce back from a loss. And it was obvious on Saturday they're playing a team that, you know, is going to be right there with them battling for conference playoff positioning. And, you know, they played a very good game. They did not let the loss from St. Thomas affect how they played on Saturday. And they shot the ball much better. And, you know, you can ask any coach, if you don't shoot well, you're not going to win. And they did a very nice job offensively. And they relied on their big guns when they needed them. And you know, we've talked about Jess so many times over the past 4 years, but you know, they needed a big basket at a crucial time, and who better to give the ball to than Jess Thone, and she got the job done. She nailed that jumper and gave them the win, and really gave them that momentum that you're going to kind of need, because you've got to carry over now to, they play against La Crosse, but then you're off until January 2nd, so you've got some time now where that momentum can carry through that, you know, very positive momentum heading into the break.
Well, and we see their schedule. Not only are they off until January 2nd after Wednesday's game against La Crosse, right now they're in the middle of a 6-game road trip, Donnie, and it's Gustavus, tops of the conference right now, so that's going to be a tough game on the road right after the Christmas and New Year's break.
Absolutely, and the biggest problem they have right now, actually, it may not be a bad thing that they're on the road and that we're still on break.
Yeah.
You know, they play Wednesday, then they play Saturday, then they play Monday, then they play Wednesday, and those games we're still on school break, so we won't have that student section contingent that we really like to rely on in the home games. But it's a big time. You know, we talk about it with basketball, and we can talk about it with the men as well. Once January hits, it's you know, it's basketball almost 24/7, because they've got to take a day off in there. So you've got 6 days. A lot of times you're playing 3 games in a week, and so there's a lot of basketball in a short amount of time. And the key, as they did with that St. Thomas game, the key is to be able to put the game you just played behind you and focus on the game at hand. And I think that right now that's what they're doing. They're playing every game is the important game of the season, and they're not worrying about what's ahead or what's behind, and they're just focusing on what's there at hand. And right now that's La Crosse on Wednesday, and then they'll get to take a little break and maybe a little bit of a breather, and then come back on the 2nd and really get ready for 2 months of pure chaos, so to speak, because it's basketball all the time.
Well, and speaking of the men, they went to Mankato, played Bethany Lutheran on Wednesday, but we have highlights from their previous game against Crown College, and that was a home game, and close, just a 3-point game, but unfortunately the Cardinals come out on the losing end in that one.
Yeah, it's really too bad, because they certainly played well enough to win that game, and really played very well. Crown comes in with a post player who's 7'1" and was averaging, you know, a double-double in their first 7 games, and you know, St. Mary's came out, and yes, he got his 26 points, but they also, St. Mary's answered. Mike Burfine had 26 points as well, and they kept him off of the glass, which is certainly key. He only had 5 rebounds, so they did a nice job there. It was one of those games that, you know, could have gone either way. You know, unfortunately down the stretch, trailing by 2, they had 2 good looks or trailing by 3, they had 2 good looks at a tying 3, and they couldn't get the ball to drop. And you know, that's basketball. I mean, that you know, that happens, and they certainly created a lot of good opportunities. It's great to see number 33, Mike Burfine, back in the lineup. He had missed 3 games because of a concussion, but came back and has just been on fire. And he had 24 points against St. Thomas last Wednesday, and then comes up with 26 against Crown. So he's certainly back to the form that we expect of him. And Evan Peterson had a great game against Crown, 16 points and 9 rebounds. I would have loved to have seen him get that extra, or 9 assists. Would have loved to have seen him get that 10th assist and get that double-double, but you know, he's the runner of the floor, and he's the one that makes that offense go, and you know, they're going to keep plugging along, and I know that you know, certainly, you know, any of the players, Coach Landrum, they want, you know, they would love to have more wins, but they're playing some good, solid basketball, and they're going to continue to battle, and I'm pretty sure come the first of the year they're going to turn this around and hopefully get everybody back healthy. Right now, Coach Landrum has not played a game with his entire lineup that he would like to have. Sam Ruth is still bothered by a concussion right now. Mark Schumacher hasn't played the last 2 games because of commitments that he's had with his schoolwork, and so they have yet to have that complete team on the court. And I think once they do, once everybody gets healthy, you're going to see a different St. Mary's basketball team on the court.
And there we see the schedule. We'll have that game on January 2nd against Gustavus right here on HBC Channel 25, and they start right away, right after the new year there. Donnie, as we look ahead now to men's hockey action, tell us what's going on with the men's program. Couple of non-conference losses at Lake Forest.
Yeah, it was too bad. I talked to Coach Moore about that. He was really hoping they could head into the Christmas break with a couple of wins there. Lake Forest, a very solid team from the NCHA, and you know, they lost 5-3 the first day, and then they were shut out 2-0 the second day. And I think that it's interesting. We talked so much at the beginning of the year about their offense and how high-powered it is. They've got to keep that going. You know, obviously you're not going to win any games if you don't score any goals. In that second game, they had their chances. They just couldn't convert them the way they had been. And I think the break rolls around at a nice time for them. They can kind of regroup. Unfortunately, they've got two non-conference games left right away when they get back from break on the 4th and 5th of January. If you look at the schedule there, you're playing St. Norbert the first day and Stevens Point the second. St. Norbert, the 2-time defending national champion, and Stevens Point nationally ranked right now. So certainly the road doesn't get any easier for them, but they'll continue to battle, and they'll continue to you know, to play good hockey. Trying not to laugh as I watch Tommy Robuszewski here with our Day in the Life feature that we did. Tommy, hats off to you and your crew, Scott Dewar and Alan Mekish and the entire Cardinal hockey team really helped out. Really, if you get a chance to watch this video, you should. They did a great job of kind of showing what life is like as a collegiate hockey player and what they do throughout a day. And you know, Tommy volunteered to do it and really did a fantastic job with it.
And you can find that right on the St. Mary's Sports website, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, at stmarysports.com. And Day in the Life of a Hockey Player. And you're doing a lot of those. Now, this was not done with the GoPro cam.
Part of it was. Actually, we have a flip camera that he's using here, but we did something new this year, this time, that we hadn't done before, and Tommy actually wore the GoPro during warm-ups of the game, and we've got some great footage of just, you know, what it's like to be a hockey player and skating around, and you know, he brought it into the locker room after warm-ups and before the game, and it really, the video really gives you a good insight of what it's like to you know, to prepare for a game. There's some of the GoPro right there, and you know, it's just neat, and it's a lot of fun. It's you know, a new feature that we're trying this year with a lot of different video stuff, and you know, Tommy was great to help out, and we hope to keep doing it, and you know, hopefully people are entertained by it as well, because it's an entertainment value as well, and that's kind of what we want.
Well, we told you about the Cardinals Nest bounce with Jess Stone earlier. It worked with Anna Smarin, who we had last week here on the Cardinals Nest. Goes out and does great at the St. Thomas Invitation.
Yeah, Anna had a great weekend for the swimming and diving team, as did Mark Ross. Mark was, you know, a very, very busy man. We talked last week with Anna about how it was going to be a busy weekend for her, and it certainly was. A lot of events and a big meet. You know, there's a lot of very talented swimmers there, and hats off to both the men's and women's team. They had a lot of very, very solid performances, led by our guest, Anna Smarin. So a great job all the way around.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. We want to thank Patrick Grace, the general manager at Page Theater, for being our interview guest this week. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest right here on HBC Channel 25.